you got the Jeffersons, you got Mountain Dew, and then also it was What's Happening. And let's not forget 227. Now, if only for a moment, you had already solidified your place in some of the defining series is really understating it. I mean, you know what I'm talking about here. I mean, like, hey, we know you, and for that representation of Black culture in early television, how does that feel? And is there a particular memory from that time that really stands out to you?
I was so young, and I didn't grow up with any like prejudices. I didn't see it. I mean, I'm Black and very, very, especially at this time, it's an honor and a privilege. You know, I'm Portuguese, Ethiopian, and so there's a mix there. And you know, I've got my Ethiopian side over here, family, a lot of them from Addis Ababa, and then my grandpapa over here, Portugal, Brazil, Santos. So I was doing this, and I didn't really say when I was a kid, I'm Black. I looked at everybody. I've only been called that.
Now go for it. You're there.
I can't stop. This one guy was later on. Would you like me to tell you that?
Please.
Okay.
Please. This is exclusive. Here we go.
Only one guy said he was drunk one day. I was at Starbucks, and he goes, "You're a nigger, and you dress like a faggot."
Wow, he doubled down.
I went,
was this John Gruden? Sorry, I had to. I had to.
Stop it! He doesn't
watch sports, but you did. Sorry, go ahead.
So you're a trip. So I looked at him. This was later on. You know, I live a very spiritual life, and I looked at him and I said, "Nigger, that's a little outdated, and faggot." Oh, I'm sorry. I'm taken. Have a nice day.
Kill them with kindness, as they say. You don't have to steep to their level, because if you know that they're going to be ignorant people in the war, you can prepare for ignorance.
He flipped the script on him.
Literally. Yeah, literally. That is
I'm
amazing.
I'm always happy. I mean, since you tapped in on that when the pandemic and everything happened, because I live in San Juan Capistrano, you know, beach cities. And, you know, when all that happened, the Black Lives Matter happened thing, I went up to CVS, and this lady gets out of her Jaguar and she goes, "Excuse me." And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I just want you to know that we really support you." I said, "Okay." So then, dude, then like 20 minutes later, this old gentleman comes out of the CVS and he goes, "Young man." And I said, "Yeah, we've really got your back." And I went,
what is going on?
That's the only time I've ever like felt, you know, like I was, people were attempting to put me in a box, you know, and I was like, oh, okay. Because I'm all about integrity, you know, and, you know, I used to be, you know, like that. I got let it get to me a little bit. You know, like with the Black Lives Matter, I see all these other cultures carrying the sign, and I'm like, okay, have you ever had a Black person asked to come to dinner at your house? Have you ever had a Black child play with your children? You know, have you ever invited Blacks to come over to a barbecue or a party? That's where my mind was at. However, I've come to the realization, though, that at this point, we've come so far. This was like a miraculous thing that has happened, because when people say wake up, you know, people have recognized that it's not all about this. and you and that over there, and you and that over there. And like I said, it feels great because in the business right now, Black is it.
I think everything you just said, not even think I know from the words you just said, I'm happy you said them, because we are a film show, and what we try to do, we don't make it a political show, we don't make it a racial show. Whatever film we're covering, wherever it goes and the guests we're speaking with, that's where the topic goes. And I told you it's a free flowing conversation. So when you were saying the thing about have you ever invited a person to a barbecue, one of the things, the dialogue that me and him have, if you've ever seen A Time to Kill, Samuel Jackson asked Matthew McConaughey that. He said, Jake, you ever invited me to a barbecue or anything like that? And of course, at the end of the movie, he comes to the barbecue. But more importantly, at the end of that film, the twist was the only way that this white jury could see that evil had been done is that Matthew McConaughey literally had to point out a story and say, now imagine if she was white. And boom, all of a sudden they got it. So like you say, you don't want to be put into this box. That's not the way you see the world based off how everyone else sees the world. But it's beautiful now, because now that it is being recognized, I feel like for the first time, the culture is being researched and appreciated even more because of the things that they've tried to say. Now, we can't be this, we can't do that. You know what? Like you said, you can let it get to you, but it can't take away from who you are. And I think that's very noble of you to say something like that.
I would say, though, that if I may.
Oh, please.
Okay, thank you. That I know that attending a barbecue is not a required prerequisite for supporting Black Lives Matter, but I would argue that if there are people out there, white people with hate in their heart towards Black people, I guarantee if you take those white people to a Black barbecue, there's a good chance that their mind might be changed by the time they leave. And somebody said, I was watching a Russell Brand interview with somebody recently, and they made a really good point. Like she's a reporter that I think she's, I don't want to get it wrong, so I don't even say what I think she is, but she would go to like hate groups and sit down with these people and talk to them face to face. And she said what she realized is that even these people, like the leader of the neo-Nazi movement in America, she sat down with him and he was unable to hate her to her face. And she was calling herself all the things that he would normally call her in private. And it was making him uncomfortable to hear her referring to herself that way. So it's like, if you get yourself to a barbecue, it might extinguish some of those preconceived notions that are fueling the whatever animosity you have.
To quote the GOAT Dave Chappelle, let's just have a conversation. Can we talk? Because it's dialogue, right? You got to get them to talk, and then. But I digress. We'll be here all day with that. But that is some. Hey, listen, that is some really good stuff, and he's going to have one of the highest rated interviews on this show when we do his full interview, just because of the subject matter. But please take us to 1980 and John.
By the way, come down here and get some rib tips and potato salad and some greens.
All right. He was talking to me. What you getting so excited for?
Why'd you have to take that from me?
I'll get it. I'll have it delivered from LA.
Now remember you said this now. All right, now, boom, he said it. It's a virtual lunch day. There it is.
You're not.
He's allowed to be the coolest guest we've ever had.
No, but I'm just. I realized that what I was about to say, how it was going to sound when I came out, but
you're still going to say it.
There's a running theme in my life that most Black people that I encounter, their first instinct is to feed me.
Well, that's because he does weddings and he goes to a lot of events. So they're always like, hey, come get something to eat. He always comes and calls me. He's like, man, the food was just so good. I'm like, well, what are you expecting? I don't know why it wouldn't be so good.
Yeah.